Hi everyone, welcome in the greenhouse. Quick one, well probably won't be a quick one, you know what I'm like to talk. There's been quite a few people saying can I do a video on orchids for a change, because I am doing a lot on McCoy. So this one is in particular going to be regards Neofinetia, or what they're called now, Falcata. Excuse the fogger's kicked in, gonna have to leave it on for a bit. You see that mist coming over, so it's quite a good illustration actually. In the UK at the moment we are experiencing the warmest temperatures and driest spell that we've had I think since 1976. So we are having a fabulous summer, thank you very much. So back to the orchids. Now I'm going to share this because, you know, I take it for granted what I've got, and I've got quite a decent collection of Neos, of Vanda, and this year I've got to say that I am having a really cracking show of flower spikes. So I thought it'd be useful if I go through what I do, basically, how I grow them. So I've got to try and make it as brief as possible, but I'll make it as detailed as possible all the same. So I've got quite a few varieties, they're all varieties there. A lot of, well, Neofinetia originated from Japan and China and Korea, and from the standard form with a standard green leaf and white flower became these varieties. Now, developed these varieties, or mutants, or whatever you want to call them, and propagated them, and the rest is history. But they're all classified as Vandas, and they all look very similar in stature of growth, but if you look at them very closely they are all quite different once you know what varieties they have and what attributes that they have. So for example, this one here, the Oridoshi, that's needle leaves. So about the leaves, these are a standard leaf. You get some that have got crinkles on them. Up there, bean leaf, call them bean leaf. You get different coloured root tips. You go from green to, oh, I think that's mud brown, to ruby. And the famous ones, well I say famous, but the Humiden, they have lovely ruby roots, look. And something else that we grow these for, appreciate them for, is what called, I never pronounce it right, but it's Tazook. I call them Tazook. This part here, see that line? I think there's 4 types or 5. There's a standard straight. That is, I think, a crescent. See, it's slightly crescent. There's a mountain that goes up and down shape. Then there's one that's like a wave. So we go through them. Crescent. You see what I'm looking at? See the lines? Crescent. And one thing, the main thing for me, what I love about Neos, is the flowers are incredibly fragrant. Okay, now I've mentioned a few attributes or a few qualities there. The flowers come in yellow, like an orangey, pink and white, and then variants of pink. And there's one in flower this year, it's called Kibana, and that's a hybrid. But the fragrance is absolutely gorgeous. If you ever smoked citrus, it's very much like citrus, or like a faint, some are like gardenia as well. This is like faint gardenia. but this one's a bit more coconutty, like, well, a bit more like citrus. So that's just going on the attributes a little bit. The flowers, if you notice, they have a spur. See this amazing spur at the back? Now some, or Subaru, I can't see where Subaru is, but it's in Spike, I think. It is somewhere. I'll show you in a minute if I can find it. I think that's a 2 spur. So it has 2 spurs. Really unusual. And one thing I've not mentioned yet is the leaves. That's got variegation at the edge. Sorry, one side. Edge. And you get all different types of variegation as well. So they really hold a lot of interest, and they flower in summer. So for this time of year they flower. So if you do orchid shows, they're not really a lot to cop, because in summer the orchid shows in the UK tend to end and finish till about September time, and the season starts again. Well, these will be done by then. Now, culture, as you can see in this ground, and talk about culture now, and as you can see, I grow them with Masdevallia. Now the sun is setting here, so that's north, east, south and west. So my greenhouse is open, so that, believe it or not, has got 70% shade on. Can you see the sort of light we're talking about? Okay. Now this year I've pulled the shading back over this quarter, just the corner, so it gets more light on my grow-on pond to make it a bit warmer in there. Because it's polycarbonate 28mm, it's quite thick, so it tends to keep the heat out as well as the heating in winter. I've got the fogger, that's set to 50%, and I've put it at this end because I could really do with 2 of those foggers because of the size of the greenhouse, but I've only got one because they're expensive, and I put it at this end so it will just come through. And I have this window open there, and I have this window open here, and at the far end I have double doors, so I've got airflow all the way through, and a fan up there now. So that's the lighting, bright but shaded. But in the east, up until 1 o'clock, come through and they are quite bright. In winter, this all comes off in autumn, so it's full sun, because in the UK the sun isn't strong. So the fogger comes on 50%, keeps it quite high. I mean, that's saying it's 80% in here, but I doubt it. Well, it's about 60, so as long as I can keep it around about there, the plants won't dry out too quick. Because if the temperature goes up too quick, too high, the shading's on, so it shouldn't go above 25 in here in summer. So I keep the extremes at bay. So I keep the sun off if I can, so the heat doesn't rise too quick and too high, and the humidity rises with the temperature. So 25 degrees C maximum if I can in summer. And then winter, I've got a heater, and that's set to 10 degrees C minimum. So I would anticipate that, get autumn out of the way, once we get into winter, I would say, depends how cold it is, it's probably in about December, January, I might be kicking to about 10 degrees C in here most nights. And when I get to that point, I'll allow these to go crispy dry, and then I water again, keep going that cycle. This time of year I try and keep them like sort of moist to dry, so they don't dry out too quick, because if they do, they will go like the leaves on this one, look. I gave them a good flooding last night, so I'm going to give them a good day, because I know we're having a really hot spell. Okay, and it's really important at this time of year, because even though they're spiking, once they're done with the spikes, they will then put all their energy into producing the flowers within the plant. So obviously I'm doing something right, because the amount of flower spikes I've got is incredible this year. So, and I've not lost many either, and I'm putting that down too. I've kept them more watered over winter. So before I was a bit paranoid of getting rots in the leaves, but this year I increased the flow of air, and I've got my supplementary light, so they get 10 hours per day light. So the light might come on for say 6 hours because the light is very poor in winter. Okay, so when the sun goes down at 3, the light will kick in and stop on for 6 hours. So I'm getting at least 10 hours light a day on them. So that dries them out as well. So that means I can increase water a little bit, but we get the cool light and the lower temperature. Perfect. Because in nature in Japan, they can actually get snow on them, but it's not like snow and frost like we get in the UK, because the snow and frost is wet and horrible, and you know what it's like. But in some of these other countries it's not. It might get 0, but it might be fluffy snow, and they can tolerate that because they do in Japan. I feed them Acorn's Rain Mix at every watering. I was going to say most watering because I've been pretty slack this year, but in general, whenever I have water in my tub, my butt, I have Rain Mix in it. Don't matter what time of year, to get it. Okay, it's the Rain Mix. I also use seaweed to get the roots going, liquid seaweed. And yeah, so that's my culture for them. So they're doing okay. So to end, because it's been going to be quite a long video, if anyone's got any questions on how to grow these, please put a post in the comments and please subscribe. So let's have a look at all these quickly individually. Flower Spike, Manazuru, Surugai, Tuckhole, flowers absolutely everywhere. Shitenu, everyone knows Shitenu, Hashuden, always Subiru. Be interested to see what that does, because on some you get 2 spurs. I'm not, but they're a bit hit and miss. They're very, very strange. So sometimes you might not get any. Going along this side. Let's go through the mist. Sorry if that blocks the Asahedon. One of my favourites, Kagani Nishiki. Never flowered it, but I just love the leaves. Amiden, that's the original form, that one. Got some lovely new pots as well, handmade. Deonkai, Dasikai is in flower. That's lovely. Look at the flowers on that. Beautiful. So I'm interested to see how they go. They're doing absolutely great. The fogger's on. I've sold this one, I think. This is the Furon hybrid. I've still got this one if anyone's interested. Haku Fukarin, £130 that. Should be £75 a groat. 2 main growths and a baby there. Looks as well worth it, that. I've got a Yoridoshi there, good sized plant. I'm going to split it up, I don't sell. And yeah, there's the Neos. Thanks for watching. Away with the mist. Any questions, please subscribe. Ask any questions and I'll help you wherever I can. Oh, I've just caught the fragrance of that. Absolutely gorgeous. This is looking interesting. Look at the buds on that. Good night. Happy days.